Hey guys, what is up? It's Dusty here and welcome back to another episode of the Daily Crypto News. And honestly, I think we have a crazy story again today. To give you some idea, John Deaton, who is very well known in the XRP community, is going pretty crazy over on Twitter yet again. And he's basically decided to clear up for everybody why exchanges like Coinbase have not really acted in the way that they should have if they were prioritizing their users. They should have most likely just kept XRP on their platform, and John decides to explain exactly why that would have been the best choice. Now, news is very cool, but money is also very cool, so make sure you check out my $10,000 giveaway. A link for that is going to be down below, so check it out, why not? Alright, so we have that, the John Deaton stuff, plus a lot of other pieces of news, I guess, for today's crypto video. So, yeah, I would say enjoy the show. There's a lot going on right now, and you'll most likely enjoy this crypto update. If you're wondering how the crypto market is doing, things are doing pretty good. We're up about 1.3% today. Bitcoin, of course, had a pretty drastic dip last night. It's up, I think, $400 or $500 already. And you can see in terms of percentages, Ethereum is also up about 4% since yesterday, even though fear is definitely a lot higher than the last couple of weeks. In terms of prices, at least we didn't have a crazy crash yet again today. But that's not so important. Let's talk about John Deaton. Let's see what he's saying. The SEC is using the Wahi case as a way of attempting to declare these 9 crypto assets as securities without having to face Coinbase's legal team. The SEC has learned lessons from facing Ripple's legal team. That's a response to Bill, who's responding to Real XRP Boy, and this kind of goes a little bit deep, but okay, let's just quickly cover it, right? Real XRP Boy shared a little article here, SEC versus Wahi, an enforcement action, yada, yada, yada. Now, a CFTC Commissioner, Carolyn D., just criticized the SEC for bringing this action, stating that this is a critical example of regulation by enforcement. Bill said thanks for sharing the article. Article shows the mistake of thinking the SEC is not advancing its strategy of gaining control over crypto. Just because it has faced several setbacks and some procedural defeats in the Ripple matter, strategy is everything. Because, again, within is the Wahi complaint may reflect a new, more aggressive strategy by the SEC. The SEC is functionally can argue 11 cases in one. 9 cases alleging that certain digital assets are basically issued securities, 1 case against the named defendants for security law violations, and 1 case implied against all intermediaries that offer trading in those 9 digital assets to U.S. customers. The SEC has a better one than the CFTC, and the crypto industry is hopeless as a whole in confronting the SEC's very effective strategy in a unified way. Have the 9 projects called securities in Wahi and the exchanges that list them taken any unified steps? Is there a plan? So the way that he writes is a little bit confusing to me, but the point is very clear. The SEC made a very, very sneaky but very smart move in, as I described before, going after all these cryptos without suing them individually. If you just charge a specific company like Coinbase, for example, with all these wrongdoings, well, Coinbase has to defend everybody else, which obviously is going to be difficult, and even more difficult now that they didn't fight for XRP, which, again, Sherman has alleged, and obviously, since they took it off, they kind of agreed with. Now, John says, SEC using the YE case of attempting to kind of put a lot of things into one. When the SEC sued Ripple, claiming today's XRP is a security, I argued that Coinbase and Kraken should not delist XRP, but instead file a motion to come into the lawsuit to intervene. The judge may not have granted it, but it would have had certainly granted amicus status like she did to all the XRP holders. They could have given some additional information whenever the judge required it. Career security lawyers and others scoffed, claiming it would be stupid to highlight yourself by alienating the SEC. Plus, in the complaint, the SEC used fraud-like language, even though fraud wasn't actually alleged. This caused people to root against Ripple, divide and conquer. If you think about it, the SEC is pretty smart with how they handle things, honestly. These guys are not, stupid-ass lawyers. These guys are smart. Coinbase and others did the safe thing and delisted XRP. And of course, our prediction at the time was as well that if you're going to start delisting one, eventually the SEC is going to start going for 100 cases, and you're going to have to delist everything, except for potentially Bitcoin. But even that is questionable. So they did the safe thing, delist XRP. When the SEC and Gary informed Coinbase it wouldn't meet with them, but would instead sue if it moved forward with the Lend product, it argued Coinbase should relist XRP and move to intervene at that time. All right, that's again what John Deaton did. Career security lawyers scoffed again, and Coinbase backed down. Again, Gensler is likely to sue Coinbase this year, but ask yourself, why didn't the SEC sue Coinbase for listing the same 9 alleged illegal securities while suing Wahi? Well, because Gensler and the SEC are not ready and currently building the case behind the scenes, collecting evidence. The Wahi case is classic subterfuge. If the 9 tokens are illegal securities, as the SEC claims, Coinbase is actively hurting investors who are buying these tokens. No cease and desist, no preliminary injunction, not even a lawsuit against Coinbase. Yet. How's that actively protecting investors? Well, it's not, if this is what they're alleging, right? That all these 9 things, these 9 assets are actually securities. Because it would be very irresponsible from the SEC to not say, hey, judge, make sure that Coinbase has to stop trading them all right now, because every single second that these are being traded, they're hurting investors. This is such a strange word to me, subterfuge, but it's subterfuge because the ultimate target, by the way, guys, let me know down below. What year did you start investing into crypto? I'm thinking all this lawsuit stuff started to become very interesting from 2020 on forward. And I kind of wonder when you guys actually got into crypto, what year? Just put it down below in the comment section for fun. All right. So it's subterfuge because the ultimate target and goal for Gensler are the exchanges and regulating secondary market sales. While he can't defend the case and the underlying security claims the way a Coinbase legal team could. So what this is referring to is that Wahi, right, is that ex-employee from Coinbase. He's been sued because he basically had some insider trading problems, but he's being charged for 9 different securities, right, and basically handling in all of those. Now, Coinbase's legal team is like Ripple. They could very well spend $100, $200, $400 million on legal fees. Well, Wahi, he made $1 million insider trading, supposedly. He can't pay $100 million, $200 million in fees, or maybe even $900 million to $1 billion, if you think about it, because he has to defend 9 different, it's 11 allegations, 11 cases in one, but it's specifically 9 different cryptos that he has to do it for. And Ripple's lawsuit for the last 2 years has been $100 million plus. I can't imagine what the cost would be to fight 11 of these at once. Obviously, that's why they didn't do it against Coinbase, but they did it against Wahi. Because that's very smart. Because that way, logically thinking, they can easily win these because Wahi is most likely going to give up. Plus, Gensler will use the criminal wire fraud case as leverage to get Wahi to settle and admit the tokens are illegal securities, all without having to actually prove it. Now, some of the legal scholars out there will say Wahi's admission in the case aren't binding in a subsequent case, or similar, technically correct statements. But facing prison and bankruptcy will cause Wahi and maybe others to cooperate in a suit later and testify to things, whether those things are actually true or not. But a victory in Wahi and admissions that he sold illegal securities will give Gensler ammo, not so much in a subsequent lawsuit against Coinbase, but in a court of public opinion. Right now, Gensler is losing that case. Plus, proposed legislation takes crypto out of the SEC jurisdiction and under the purview of the CFTC. A public victory against Coinbase's former product manager helps him in this fight to keep jurisdiction over crypto. Which is again why I think a lot of this Ripple case stuff is so smart from their side, because they're showcasing, hey, look at all the good stuff we're doing. We sued a $1.3 billion, basically not fraud, but kind of fraud type of thing. We took 9 different other places down. We went for 200 losses in our time. Amazing, right? It's just, yeah, it's a career thing, what it's looking like. The exchanges and the secondary market are the targets. Look at how the SEC has fought so hard against me and XRP holders in the Ripple case. All I've asked was the SEC to stipulate it isn't arguing XRP itself is a security, and the second market sales independent of Ripple are not being alleged as illegal security offerings. Not only have they refused to stipulate, they asked the judge to revoke my status basically and bar me from further participation. Yet all I'm doing is arguing that Ripple could be guilty of specific sales in early years, but today's secondary market sales of XRP are not illegal. Why would they fight so hard to keep us out? A smart, unbiased SEC enforcement director would have simply said, quote, "Ignore the Twitter lawyer, and when he files an amicus brief, we will tell the judge she should give it a little or no weight and argue they are biased, disgruntled investors," which, is surely something that they could have said. I understand this perspective as well, John Dean is invested, and they indeed might just say, hey, this guy is just angry that we are hurting his quote-unquote investment. Ignore that guy. The guy's trying to get attention, yada, yada, yada. That would have been pretty believable. But the harshness of what the SEC is trying right now, of course, is not so logical. following my own opinion, and John's apparently. Instead, however, they have done everything they could to try and avoid us from being heard. They've tried to intimidate or chill me. Read footnote 1 and then the last line of the latest filing against XP holders. As an attorney, Deedon is subject to the limitations on his conduct and activities imposed by the Federal Rules of Civil Procedure, this court's orders, and the Rules of Ethics, which, among other things, prohibit conduct that would disrupt the tribunal. Okay, and the last line here is, in addition, the motion seeks to brief factual rather than legal issues, to do so on a non-dispositive motion, and to make arguments the defendants are capable of making. Movement's motion should be denied, and pursuant to the court's broad discretion to permit or deny the appearance of amici, Deedon should be barred from making additional filings or otherwise participating in this case. The SEC may seek further relief from the court in light of Deedon's and his followers' recent conduct. The SEC reserves the right to seek further relief against me for my and my followers' conduct because I've tweeted mean things. I know I was in the Marines and my experience is different than the Ivy Leaguers at the SEC, but I didn't realize they were so sensitive. Footnote 1 talks about the ethics, the SEC citing ethical issues. Now that's rich. But the point is, why are they so desperate to stop someone from arguing secondary market sales purchased from exchanges aren't illegal securities? Because those sales and exchanges are a threat to incumbents. And then there's a small part here again about how that other piece regarding Gary Gensler over on Forbes was taken down, but hey, she recited it, she fixed it, as I said before in my previous video, so it's okay now. Conclusion? Well, I think it's pretty simple. Coinbase made a mistake, shouldn't have taken it off. Now they might face a couple more repercussions because they decided to stick with their own legal analysis, which in hindsight wasn't the best. We're going to see how all these cases turn out. It's going to be an interesting battle, guys. I'm going to surely be watching this closely because, well, whatever happens to these 9 other cryptos is going to certainly decide what's going to happen to the rest of the crypto market. So it's definitely quite important. Then again, I'm still thinking Coinbase has a little bit of time to set these things straight, right? If you think about it. If they just go ahead and relist it, I know I'm saying just, right? But I'm thinking the only thing that can be said is that the SEC, okay, the reason I'm saying that, by the way, the reason I'm saying Coinbase just relisted is because whatever John Deedon is saying right here still makes sense. Worst case scenario, worst case, what can the SEC really do to them? As of this point, a couple of exchanges in the US, I believe like Uphold, for example, are still continuing to basically provide XRP to their users. What's going to happen to them afterwards? What exactly can they say? It's only in the case that XRP is officially deemed a security that things might go bad. And I know, of course, that Coinbase is public, so most likely the decision is not going to be approved because it's too quote-unquote risky. But at the end of the day, if Ripple does indeed lose the lawsuit, Coinbase at some point had XRP on there. They're going to be sued for that. They're going to have some trouble for that anyway. The damage of having XRP in this meantime and the transactions in that is going to be minimal to what for example, happened in the past, which they'll get trouble for anyway as well. And again, at this point, at least they can have some sort of, I think the only reason they're saying no is because they don't want to be involved. They don't want to be in any of these legal filings. They don't want to be friends of the court. They don't want to be anything. If they were, though, they could at least have a shot at trying to help out to make sure they're not in the line of fire anymore. Right now, they're still going to be in trouble regardless of what happens. So now they're basically screwed regardless. And at least at that point, they had some sort of way to fix it. And if they started relisting it, like John said here, at least they can try to help out. But for some reason, they decide that that's not in their best interest. So it is what it is. I keep shouting out at Coinbase almost every single day to just relist it already and see whatever happens. But of course, for me, it's easier to talk than for them. My small little animal brain, my little pea-sized brain, just thinks it would have been the best choice to actually stick with their guts on this one. Purely because omitting it, going around it, in this case, is most likely going to have way worse results for anybody involved. I don't see in any way, shape, or form how taking it off would have been better, as, again, repeatedly, Coinbase has said that they are working with the SEC over what their policy is to list cryptos. They have not listed XRP for a very long time. Since 2018 or something, they added it on. But in the beginning of 2018, I think January 5th, they even said, maybe they only added it in 2019, because in 2018, January 5th, they said over on their Twitter, I believe, we have no plans to list XRP. At some point it changed though, they decided to list XRP. Then at some point they had a meeting with the SEC, and they suggested that they take it off. Somewhere in the midst, something went wrong. But yeah, let's skip it. There's a couple other fun parts going around, mostly regarding that Sherman, obviously. Sherman is the guy who basically said any exchange that ever traded an XRP, just go after all of them, they're all in the wrong. But at the end of the day, I don't really hear too much about this guy anymore. He's kind of crawled back into the background after everybody started to hate on him, I guess. Apparently, this is kind of funny. I'm just sharing a couple of different things now because, we gotta mix it up the news sometimes, and every now and then. Apparently, 46% of US crypto holders are not happy with their investment. Only 50% of American crypto investors said their investment has done better than expected. One of the fun parts about crypto investing is that it's a long-term game. If you're thinking, let me buy crypto, and you want to be in profit tomorrow, you're basically doing a coin flip. It's only if you're buying crypto for the longevity that you're most likely going to be right, if you're deciding to invest in it, basically. But yeah, I think it's also interesting if I look at my own circles, a lot of the people that I told to invest in crypto are now at a loss, right? And at the end of the day, I always tell them, it's a risky thing, but I personally believe it. All my money is in there. And a couple of people I'm pretty close to say, don't you think that this is actually going to fail? And I always say no. But they're like, but what if it does? And I keep saying, no, I don't think I can't fathom crypto failing. I can't see it as a possibility. But they do bring up an interesting food for thought piece, which is some people don't have this conviction that you have. And in theory, they're right. You can never be 100% sure that this is going to last. But for us, the majority of us in this space, it's just a certainty that it will last. So you just want to accumulate as much as possible before it just breaks off and goes even crazier. To me, there's a 0% chance that it's actually a bubble or that it's going to continue to go down forever. I believe that this adoption is so wild. Even BlackRock getting into it is just going to keep increasing in use and everything. You're seeing it with the CBDC and everything. They're building on this space. It's not going to be going backwards in terms of utility. Only in price for a little bit, maybe. But longer term, it's going to increase, basically. There was a pretty huge transfer of 500 million XRP. Kraken moving 500 million XRP around, and nobody seems to understand exactly why. I followed the transaction, and it's to a wallet that already received 300 million XRP a year ago. Why this is exactly, nobody will know, but it's just Kraken most likely moving money around. At least that's as far as I'm concerned. We can't say this is selling pressure. We can't say this is buying pressure. It is most likely just from within Kraken for some maybe offloading reason. Maybe they're taking this to safe storage. Huge transfer, but we don't know exactly why, and we won't be able to figure it out. There's a couple people saying that there's going to be another crazy sell-off happening. They're talking about the CME gap from last weekend, but mostly they're talking here about the new interest rate numbers or inflation numbers that could be coming out. According to CME Fed Watch tool, a 75 base point rate hike in September has a 66% probability, and a 50% or 50 base points is a small probability. This could obviously be something very interesting for the crypto prices yet again, and it's going to happen somewhere at the end of September, so it's something to watch out for. The MAS over in Singapore considers new restrictions on crypto firms, which is just interesting to keep us out of our heads, that over in the rest of the world, they are still working on crypto regulation. It's not that the US is the only entity. I saw a couple of different pieces talking about how Korea is also trying to regulate, for example, crypto airdrops. Singapore central bank chief says digital currency markets need to be governed globally. The message comes 3 days after Singapore registered Three Arrows Capital filed for bankruptcy, and the authority has placed limits on marketing and advertising crypto services, which is why a lot of companies are moving from Singapore over to Dubai, and also from Hong Kong over to Dubai the last couple of months. And then Robert Kiyosaki says now is the time to get richer, as epic market crash he predicted in 2013 is beginning now. 2008 was a great time to get rich. Everything went on sale. Borrowed millions of dollars buying real estate bargains. 2013, I published Rich Dad's Prophecy, predicting bigger crash coming. That crash is here. Millions will be wiped out. Please do not be one of them. Time you get richer. The easiest way to get richer, in my own opinion, is buy when things are really looking at their worst. The only problem is you need money to do that. So I'm going to say, and this is for anybody that's out there, start a side hustle. Go for something crazy. I'm most likely eventually going to make a course with also a good system attached to it to hopefully teach some people some like sidelines, side notes, side hustles, basically. I made a couple of videos on my Instagram empire, basically, and I can rightfully so call it an empire. It's a crazy business, earns crazy well, I would say, and it's just grown rather large. It's a big corporation now. The thing is, it's just what I did in my side time, sitting on my phone, going to post like crazy. And now that's one of the craziest businesses you might ever see in your life, from a very small, how do you say it? From kind of coming from nowhere, kind of. It's such a short time. It's really one of the craziest things you might ever see. How big this business has become. To me, even it's wild to think about the fact that I own that. But it's something I don't really talk about with anybody. Not that many people know exactly what I have. It's just a hint. However, I did showcase to you guys exactly how that works. It's so easy. It just takes incredible dedication to get it done. And obviously understanding how these algorithms work. But anybody, I think, with the little bit of brain cells and understanding, for example, these videos that I'm making right here. If you understand the exact lawsuit stuff we just talked about, you'll be able to do that Instagram stuff. You know, that was on my second channel. But I've also tried some other cool stuff to tell people on how I think people should start accumulating some sort of money in these times. Just before things are about to get worse, basically. If this crash comes, the only way you're going to become very, very wealthy afterwards is if you have some money to start off with. If you have literally $4 to your name, you know, it's going to be hard to become a millionaire like that because of a crazy dip. And even he is talking about borrowing crazy amounts of money. You got to have somewhere to start off with, right? So the whole thing, number one, is not, okay, I'm going to invest in crypto to get a basic little stash or something like that. No. Use some other sort of work to get actual capital. And if you're in, for example, a place like deep India, where, for example, you can only earn, let's say, or maybe you pick another country, who cares, Nigeria, you can only get, you know, $35 a month, maybe even less than that, $1 a day, for example. My best recommendation is going to some digital design type of work. It's not that crazy. It's not that hard, to be honest with you, to earn, I'm going to say, $30, $40 a day, which to a lot of Americans is like, what in the world are you talking about, you know? Why would you ever want to earn that? $30 a day, that's like disgusting. But for a lot of people in less privileged countries, or I would say where things are a lot cheaper, $30, $40 a day. And again, I'm talking about working 7 days a week, obviously. But, you know, $1,000, $1,200 a month, that's like living like a king. And it's hard, I would say, but it's not that hard. A lot of people don't know how to do it. And specifically, for example, if I look at what type of employees we have, right? A lot of people are working for not that crazy of an income because there's a lot of people working. But a lot of these guys are designers who work, for example, 2 hours a day or so, get maybe $1,000 a month, for example. They work every single day because I get 7 days a week, no days off, but you don't work that much. And a lot of them are from Pakistan, I believe. I think most of them are from Pakistan. Same thing for scriptwriters, same thing for everything. Different wages for different types or different amounts of work. But I even said it in previous videos, right? A lot of people I can offer like full-time jobs. It just depends on what people are able to do. And a lot of my friends have that same sort of thing as well. They offer full-time jobs for a lot of people, depending on what exactly they can do. You know, if you want a salesperson, very often you want somebody who can speak proper English. So it's less likely you're going to pick somebody that's from, again, in my own experience and people around me, somewhere from deep Nigeria, for example, or India, because the accent tears a lot of people off from buying something, for example, if it's a phone call, hypothetically speaking. But for literally almost anything else that does not involve literal speaking on the phone, for example, man, I mean, I'm always trying to hire people that are just the best at what they do. And I've noticed a lot of people that ask very little money are amazing. Point being, though, if you really want to make a good return from these types of crazy dips, these crazy types of recessions, put some work in before they happen. Because the moment that the crash is here, most likely it's going to be a lot harder to earn money. So do it beforehand. Grind a little bit better. Specifically in the next, like, let's say, couple of months, now that people are fearing for a recession, grind harder. You know, if you're working already a lot, work harder even. Some people can't do that. Some people will not be able to take the fullest advantage of this crazy dip that potentially might be coming here. But I'm just saying that, honestly, the best way to go about this is not to beg for money, not to use the little profit you made in crypto for anything. It's to honestly work like crazy, accumulate the most that you can, invest the most that you can if you have the possibility, obviously, and then reap the benefits of when the majority of the fear is there. And there comes the riskiest part of everything. You're going to have to take a big leap of faith, a big crazy amount of risk. You know how people really get rich, guys? They buy when things look at the absolute worst. You're buying when the majority of people in this world have given up. And that is so ridiculously hard. You're going to doubt yourself. You know, the same thing as, for example, let's say crypto goes down for the next 6 years, right? And you've just seen your money go down and down and down. Would you be able to put all your money, every single dollar you ever earned at that point into crypto? 95% of people say no, probably not, because it's dead. And you might say, yeah, no. But after 6 more years of downtime, most people would say no. But exactly at that point is the time where you should invest crazy for the longer term, that is, huh? But yeah, I don't know why I'm going on such a freaking tangent here. Just some thoughts about the matter, you know? Things are moving so fast, and I really want people to succeed in this space. Honestly, there's so much crazy advice that I've gotten from people around me as well, and a lot of it has to do with just taking these crazy risks and side hustling. So getting some money aside from the job, or depending on what country you're in, doing something a lot of people are not willing to do, or do it smarter. But yeah, it just depends on what you want in life as well, I guess. You know? I don't know why I'm talking about all this. Long video, it's okay though. Guys, check out my $10,000 giveaway if I guess you do want to earn through a different, strange manner. That was it for today's video. Adios, amigos.